So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this fourth peer learning session on interoperability solutions. My name is Bernard Klaas, and I'm working in the Interoperability and Digital Government Unit of the European Commission. And today I'm very happy to welcome two guest speakers, Rita Alcula from Finland and Matteo Fortini from Italy. Before we begin, I would like to let you know this session is recorded and will be posted on the Interoperable Europe portal in the beginning of June. So today we will explore the data catalog enablers. This session will provide you practical insights into two national solutions. The first one is the Interoperability Platform, Finland's metadata service supporting the creation, publication, and reuse of semantic resources. And the second one is the Digital National Data Platform from Italy, so a national platform for public sector data exchanges, where administration can publish services in a common catalog and request access to other services. So let's start with this with the first presentation, and now I give the floor to Matteo. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. I hope everyone is hearing me well. I'm Matteo Fortini. I'm working for the Italian presidency of the Council of Ministers in the Department for Digital Transformation. And today I will talk about Digital National Data Platform, which is, can you go to the next slide, please? I don't see it. Okay, we will talk about the Digital National Data Platform and the Semantic Interoperability National Data Catalogue, which are two different platforms which are enabling interoperability in Italy, both in technical and semantic interoperability. And we will talk about our next. I see it. I don't know if it's my connection. Okay. Next one, please.
Yeah, Matteo, I think we're experiencing a slight issue with the connection there, but we still hear you though. We still hear you.
Okay. Yeah. I'm taking away my video, so maybe it's easier on the net. The first thing is what are the needs and solutions for our digital national platform? The first thing was we had the fragmentation in data exchange. We had different administrations, different ways of sharing data, different technical solutions, special purpose needs to make agreements to share their solutions. And this took a long time to establish a data sharing agreement, because every time you had to tailor the agreement on the different administrations that were trying to share data. This led also to limited visibility and traceability of data accesses, because everyone was doing it on their own. We didn't have a clear trust mechanism and a shared trust mechanism for accessing data. And the major need is that in Italy we have more than 20,000 public administrations, and we wanted to scale interoperability to that size of interoperability. So this needed a much more standardized and shared solution. The National Data Platform enables interoperability of information systems, identification of the authorization steps in a central way and in a streamlined way. It has digital signing agreements, which is end-to-end digital, so we don't have the need of different agreements. And it provides an API catalog, so it helps find the data, the findability of data, usability of data. It collects and stores information on accesses, transactions, and all of this without being involved in the data exchange. So respecting privacy. It offers functionalities for the entities to implement access policies. So the provider will decide who is going to access the data, if it cannot access the data, and when the data is collected. Please go to the next slide. Thank you. We will see. We will see a schema of the national data platform. First of all, it was launched in 2022, so it has already many years of being used. We now have 1,000 entities and more than 40,000 services published on the platform, and we had already more than 1 billion exchange sessions on the platform. I say exchange sessions, the platform doesn't see the real data, so we know how many exchange sessions were done, and in each exchange session there can be more than one. There can be more than one data shared in the same session. We are using application programming interfaces, so we decided to use state-of-the-art and industry used technical solutions, and we had a very low, a central load digital administration code, which enabled in the first place the sharing of the data through the platform, because it said you can do it using this platform. So every administration was entitled to exchange data on the platform. And the second thing, which is very important, the code said that ownership of data remains to the author that is sharing the data, even if it's sharing the data. So it's set two cornerstones in order to enable exchange. Can you go to the next slide, please? And now we will see how the platform briefly works. So we have basically two steps. One step is governance steps, which is done once. Basically, you can have an entity working as an API provider or an API consumer. The first thing is the onboarding on the platform. When you get the onboarding on the platform, you sign an agreement, which is a low-level agreement, which states that you are using the platform, for example, for signing agreements, and it sets some basic rules, so everyone is entitled to exchange the data on the platform. At the same time, when you access the platform, you're given some attributes which are taken from national public registries, official registries. These attributes will help in the authorization step. After the authentication, the API provider is going to publish data through APIs and will insert in the catalog their APIs. The APIs will be semantically decorated with semantic data. We'll talk about it later. The consumer is going to browse the API catalog, find which APIs wants to access, and will ask for make a request for the access. At the same time, these tests can be done only if you have certain attributes that were decided by the publisher. So the publisher can decide which kind of administrations are going to access their APIs in the first place. After in the request, the consumer administration is going also to tell the scope, the purpose of the data access, and also the risk analysis if the data contains personal data and privacy related. This is to complain to the GDPR. And if the API provider approves the request, then the agreement is signed and the consumer can access the data. Approval can be also automatic in some kind, depending on what the provider is looking for. After this setup and governance step, which is basically done once for each consumer and provider, you get to go to the runtime. In the runtime, information system is going to ask for an authorization token to the digital national data platform. The platform is going to check if there is an agreement in place, if there is the agreement is approved, and if everything checks, then the PDND is going to give back a voucher signed by the platform. And with this voucher, this token, the consumer's information system is going to request to make a request to the APIs or multiple requests to the APIs, because this token is short-lived. It can be for 1 minute up to 24 hours. So you don't need to go to the platform every time you need authorization, but the provider decides for how long it's going to accept the token. With if the token is okay, so the provider information system checks if all the signatures are okay and checks if the token was provided for this particular service and for this particular user, then the provider information system is going to reply with the data. If you just one last thing is you see that, as I said before, the data is going to only from the provider information system to the consumer's information system. So when I was talking about sessions, I was talking about the number of tokens that the PDND is giving to the clients. Can you go to the next slide? Of course, at the end is giving services for citizens and businesses. So all of this is going to provide services. In the PDND, we have already many different ecosystems of different subjects. Some of them, some of the administrations are publishing data already, which works in different ways, but we have also new ecosystems that are using a PDND. For example, all the e-procurement system of Italy was the new one was built upon the PDND. So everything is going through the platform, and this shows the strength, because of course the e-procurement system is with a lot of accesses, and also is a very strategic. So it's important that everything works. We have some registries, of course, the public people registry, the residence registry, cornerstone of all registries. We have, for example, education registries that were built with interoperability in mind, so they don't contain any personal data, they just contain pointers to personal data, and they are using the national registry in order to get their data. Today we are working with health professions registries also to enable everything, and of course PDND is going to be used for for the wallet system. Can you go next one, please? The wallet, every attribute that is going to be given from the wallet is given to the we are presenting a couple of use cases. One use case, for example, is the interoperable unified disabled parking permit, which is put in a centralized database, which is can be checked through the platform and through interoperability without the need for every administration to have a list. So any administration can check for a person if they have the permit, and so for regulation for access to zones in different municipalities, this can be checked. We have attendance verification for students. As I said, that we have this registry of students, so it can be checked automatically without any delay, and with updated data, we can check if it's a student attending some course in order to give them credit. Go to the next one, please. And we have another use case for bonuses to citizens. For regions are giving bonuses, and they want to verify eligibility for bonuses that's based on income and the family status, so they can check for it. What we are aiming to is having a pre-filled personal data. When you can go to the next one. When you have personal data in a form, you can take the data from the interoperability without asking the citizen to fill it. I'm talking also about the national data catalog for semantic interoperability. Okay, you can go to the next one, please. It is a sister project to the PDND. It is a centralized catalog. Numbers are much lower because the aim from the catalog is having ontologies and control vocabularies and semantic assets and data schemas in order to enable semantic interoperability and help administrations and software houses map and model their data in the correct way. So we have 18 contributors, which are usually the big central administrations, which own the domain of knowledge, and they can state the correct way of mapping and modeling their data. It is a federated catalog. It's the same as the open data catalog. It is every contributor publishes data in their own repository, and the catalog is gathering together every contributor, and so they are. You can check if you have a control vocabulary or an ontology for your domain. Next slide, please. We also we have many domains, as I said. For example, workplace accidents and diseases. The national welfare is very active on this catalog, the Ministry of Culture, but we have many different administrations that are publishing their ontologies and their data schemas. In the next slide, I will just present an important thing that is that we tried, we developed a way of putting semantics inside the OpenAPI specification in order to join the technical interoperability with the OpenAPI specification and the semantic interoperability. So you can have the best of both worlds, because you can exchange data without the semantic. So data is kept lean and efficient, but in the specification you are saying on what part of semantics this applies to this data. So and we developed a schema editor, a tool which enables you to add this kind of semantic decoration to the APIs it leads you to add this semantics data. Can you go to the next slide, please? Next two. We talking about the EU landscape. Of course, we labeled PDND and the National Data Catalog with all the different labeling that we are proposing in the Interoperable Europe working group. So this is all the parts that these our solutions are covering. Go to the next, please. The next steps that we are thinking about for Europe is we are developing a federated, let's say, PDND, so that every domain can have its own, every state, for example, can have its own national data platform, but different national data platform can work together in order to do what we authenticate parties, authorize agreements, and authorize access. I forgot to say this is based on standards like OAuth2. So we decided not to reinvent the wheel, but to use standard access and access grant and authorization standards. So we are developing an ODIA, which is a framework which wants to enable privacy, secure and privacy first cross-border data exchange. Our belief is that we want to develop a lightweight system in order to enable also member states that have already interoperability in place to work without to interoperate without other member states without having to install something completely new. And also instead for member states or administrations that don't have any expertise in interoperability to start from zero and have the whole system in place. So we are trying to bridge these two different scenarios. I think the rest is just slides about backup and as I hear. Yeah, I think I thank you for listening, and if you have any questions, of course, we are here.
Thank you very much, Matteo. For the participants, now is your time to ask your questions. Feel free to unmute your mic and ask anything you'd like or put your questions in the chat. Do we have any hands or questions already? I don't think so.
Don't see anyone yet raising a hand.
Okay.
In the chat, but again, we can go through some questions until someone wishes to ask something.
If not, we have some questions ourselves we'd like to ask. So for the assessments, labeled solutions have to be assessed for their usability and interoperability assessments. Would it make sense for public authorities to look in this context at their usability of your solution for the implementation of the assessed decision? And would it be a straightforward or a difficult assessment?
Okay, we tried to keep the solutions as close as the European Interoperability Framework as we could. So I think yes, I would look at the reusability of the solution, both in technical part, as I said, with the platforms that we developed, which can be found as open source platforms, and also as as a system of how the platform works. The technical solutions that we implemented. So I think the assessment would be not easy, but straightforward in some way, because we decided to, yes, as I said, to stay close to the European framework and to the industry standards. So you don't see, I don't expect people to be, you know, to have so many questions about something that is out of their experience. And yes, so of course we are available to talk about it.
Great. And I see a hand raised there. Thank you, Matteo, by the way, for this answer on this question.
Yes, hello.
Hello. You can.
Yeah. So, two questions. So thank you, Matteo, for the presentation. I have two questions. So the first one is, what was your approach to onboard more than 9,000 entities in just 4 years? So was it something mandatory for them to join the interoperability? And the second question is, you said that the e-procurement has been built upon the PDND. So how did you manage to convince people to use the PDND to build the e-procurement system? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Okay, both of the questions have a similar answer. The onboarding was done basically half by law. So there's when we decided that we had to develop the platform, there's the same law said that administrations are going to publish their data through the national data platform. They can still publish their data in different ways, but they need to publish their data through the national data platform. And we gave them a deadline. It was not easy anyway, even with this law in place, because of course there were previous laws that someone was of course putting forward, but this was a very strong way of especially for central administrations. For the other administrations, we used like more than 500 million euros no, 500,000 euros of funds for next generation EU funds, in order to help administrations get their get solutions, join the platform and use it, because of course smaller administrations are more users of data than provider of data, even if we think of the platform as a federated and peer sharing. For example, also smaller administrations like big municipalities, but not so big, that are using it for bridging interoperability between their different software solutions. About e-procurement, we basically did the same. The new e-procurement law was saying we are going to use the national data platform. Then, of course, there's this is just the first step. The next one was using in some ways, sometimes using funds to help the central administrations move to the platform, but also accompany and join the talk to administrations, talk to central administration, make plans together and help them use the platform, do it the right way, find if there's anything missing, and improve the platform. This was for us was a continuous and is still a continuous work of going side by side with the different administrations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matteo. And thank you for the audience there for the question. It was a good one. Anyone else would like to ask something? If not, you can use the chat, obviously, and we can revisit at the end if there's time.
And we can ask another question ourselves then. I don't think we've touched upon this already. So what was your main challenge to implement the solution, and which were the main lessons learned following the implementation?
Okay, the main challenge, not a technical one. As I said, we had in place. We're using a standard solution, so even developers were not experiencing something that it was out of their day-to-day work. The main issue was convincing the administrations to use the platform, to trust the platform, because of course, as I said, there's a law that says you have to use the platform, but if they wouldn't trust it, they wouldn't use it. And so one main challenge was really convincing administrations to that the platform was safe, was sound, was robust, and they could switch to the new way. After that, they started to say, okay, even in new projects, they were saying, okay, we have this platform, can we use it? So they really found that it was useful, it was robust, and it was a good way. So this was the main challenge, and of course there's the need of there's always something that you find. One of the lessons was that there is always something that you have to see in when you are implementing the solution, because as I said, you were talking to administrations that were putting forward rules or questions. So it's very important that you keep staying together, talk, explain, take your time to explain to people your solution, it's how it works and everything, because it's not always so easy to understand for everyone. And this took a long time. It took more than the time that it took to develop the platform.
Thank you, Matteo. Since I don't think there are any questions still from the audience, we will continue with another one. Do you envisage collaboration with other member states or union entities, like around future development of the solution, and how?
Yeah, we are really looking for use cases in order to test our cross-border solution. We believe we have found a good architecture, and which is based on strong assumptions and strong standards, and we would like to see if it works basically both with sandboxes, because as I said before, what you need is a bottom line of something that helps you be able to share the data legally, And so both a sandbox and a use case in order to exchange data in some way. We are already talking to some administrations, but what we'd really like to do is that a small administration in, for example, in Germany could access our national registry of people with in a safe way, in a controlled way, but just, for example, for assessing if someone is resident or is what his family or his or her family is. So this takes some steps, but it's something that is really be nice. And we would like to see it both using just our solution and also using connectors to our solutions, which are developed for existing solutions.
Thank you, Matteo. Another question from us. Is your solution suitable for local, regional, or national public administrations? Does it need central governance, or does it also bring value if deployed in just some entities?
Okay, right now the platform is centralized. It is not, I wouldn't say it is a central governance, because we don't have an authority that says which data is going to be shared with which parties, but each participant uses the platform and decides who is going to access their data and how. So the platform is just enabling. This is not. There is no central governance except for this, for the rules of the platform that have to be kept together. The new solution could scale to even to a smaller number of entities. Is because the new solution, the one that we are studying, is wants to work even with different countries or member states. So of course it's going to be replicable, and this means that could be also you could have more than one platform in the same member state. Right now we have a centralized platform without central governance.
That's clear, thank you. I think we have time for one more question. Anyone from the audience that would like to ask something?
Yeah, we don't have anyone. Anyone wants to raise a hand, maybe? You ask something? Okay, no, we don't have anything.
If not, we have an interesting one. How does your solution support the data exchange between borders and EU sovereignty?
Okay, as I said, the data exchange between borders right now is something that we are developing. So the main issue would be, like I said, authenticating parties and having attributes given to parties. So we need to have a solution that has the ability to authenticate parties, which could be done, but it's something that it's in the new implementation. About EU sovereignty, the solution is basically an implementation of some type of interactions. So it is already open source, but it could be implemented in different ways without it is not a solution with hidden implementations or something. So you could use our solution, or you could just use, for example, the token which is exchanged between authorizations is an OAuth2 token, so it's something that is already standard, and this enables sovereignty because it's not giving you something that you cannot implement, or you have to use a particular way. For example, we had already 2 different gateways, which the solution is not forcing you to use any solution in your place for interacting with the platform. There are 2 different gateways that were developed open source and which are very used throughout our administrations, which are bridging the gap, and they're giving you a local gateway or proxy which helps you interact with the platform. And the fact that 2 different solutions were developed and that they are open source, for me, it's a very good thing, because it shows that the platform is open and is not using standards that you cannot implement.
Thank you very much, Matteo, and for the presentation. We see a hand.
We have a hand. Yes.
Yes. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
I'm
in the
in, yeah.
meantime,
Yes.
I will move to some questions on Slido that the audience
In
can
parallel with
start
the question.
answering.
Yes.
But yeah, feel free to
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much for your presentation, and it's very interesting, and also I guess the whole structure and schema and mechanism could be scalable in other contexts, and so it's a good way to exchange good practices. And my questions was just about access policies, and a bit to get to know more about your experiences and how, because if I remember, or if I got it correctly, you so access policies were managed by the entities directly. So yeah, like, was there any issues in like defining these access policies, or what was your experience on these? Because sometimes, yeah, maybe entities or administrations are, yeah, somehow jealous of their data. So yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, thank you. It's a very good question. As I said, access policies are decided by entities, by providers, and this is another of the reasons of the success of the project, because administrations want to be able to own their data. Of course, they are jealous of their data. What we need to do sometimes is help consumers talk to the providers and try to find a common ground in order to share, because as I said, the policies are based on groups, on attributes. The attributes give you the groups, like you're a local municipality, you're a service provider, you're a private entity. So you can decide first the groups that you decide to share the data with, but some administrations wanted to give permissions one by one, which took a long time, of course. After they started to trust the platform more, they started also, and they had a lot of work in approving. They started to see that they could give automatic approval to requests, maybe just reducing the number of administration, just getting tighter groups, but with automatic approval. Of course, yes, every time now the platform is in place, the data is there, the APIs are there, but the work now is some administrations asks for access to some data, and sometimes we need to help them talk, because as I said, everyone owns their data, so we are it's a very good rule to say that administrations own their data, but of course this takes some time. We need to see if there's a law, if the law can be interpreted in some different way, or if the law has to be changed. So we need to talk to the government and say, okay, we need just this little change in the rule in order to be able to exchange this data. This is the work we are mainly doing now, because as I said, the platform is there and many data is shared. Of course, another issue will be the kind of APIs, because sometimes someone says, I need this data, but in this form, which is not present right now. So this is our main concern right now. But thank you, it's a very good question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question and for the answer, Matteo. And this concludes the first part of this peer learning, and we will now move on to the interoperability platform, and we give the floor to Rita.
Thank you. Yes, so my name is Rita Alkula, and I'm from the Finnish Digital and Population Data Services Agency. And I will present our interoperability platform, which is a solution designed to make meaning work across borders, so that we are now very in the target. And I think that now I'm going to tell about this system and generally about the semantics fragmentation and the platforms and the tools. And I think that the problems or fragmentation are now clear to us all, and I think that they are very much present also in the earlier presentation, so that we have to be interoperable by design, but we need some tools to help to go over that semantic fragmentation. And for example, meaning is lost when data is exchanged as plain text, but when the organizations use different terminologies, then the meaning may get lost. And also, if we just retype everything from the PDF documentation, then we may do some typing errors or that kind of thing, which results in poor data quality. So without this kind of alignment, we do duplicate work, and the integrations will be brittle. So next slide, please. So why Finland built this kind of platform? The idea was that we wanted to reduce costs, which happen when all organizations make similar kind of tools, or let's say that all organizations publish their terminologies on their web pages, so that we wanted to build one place which we could get rid of those local presentations and make the platform that provides one place where the different kind of descriptions can be found, so that instead of these local toolings and repeating the same modeling, then we have one place where to go. And some idea was also that instead of making this obligatory, which is a bit hard because there are in public organizations, they have a very big autonomy. We try to create good tools and conditions so that they find it so useful to use our tools that they will gradually come to users, so that it's like we created conditions for this kind of gradual organic conversions. So next slide, please. Yes, and our guiding star was the different specifications that were already done by European Union, so that the European Interoperability Framework and European co-vocabularies were the main sources of inspiration. And we strictly aligned with this interoperability framework. And there is the catchphrase reuse when possible, meant when necessary. So that we try to turn that principle to practical tools where people can edit, publish, and reuse semantic artifacts. And this is also connected to once only principle in that sense that if public administrations want to ask information only once, then they really must be able to understand and reuse that data from others. And that you can't do if you don't have shared meanings. Next slide, please. So that we have now two parts of this platform. There are both the method and then there are tools. So that it's just the platform is not just only software, but it's very important that you must have some kind of methodology behind it, so that the reuse is really supported. And our robust tool suite is the idea is that you can, when you have tools, you can publish, you can show others what you have done, and then in that sense share information and also get feedback easier. If the specifications are only in your own organization, others don't know where they are and they can't reuse them. So this the idea is that our methodology defines the governance and how we collaboratively create metadata and how we model linked data. And the tools then support this ideology. Next slide, please. So we have 3 tools, so that they are cloud-based, they are individual, but you can use them also. The idea is that you can use them individually, but the best benefits come when you are using those together. So that the terminologies tool is where you describe concepts and give their definitions and also give labels of what we are saying about certain things. Like it's more like the humans agree on what a specific term actually means. And then there's a reference data tool that is for managing version controlled codesets, like in Finland municipality codes. There are hundreds of municipalities and we have coded them. And the idea is that this is also something that both humans and machines can reference. And then we have the actual data vocabularies tool, where you have two kinds of data models. You have co-vocabularies where you can define classes, attributes, associations, and the general idea of what is meant by, for example, specific class. So that they are semantic data models, and we use the visual UM-like interface. And the application profiles, there are the data models that are more context specific, so that they provide constraints and extensions to the core vocabularies. And you can see there are small numbers there, so that we have about 100 different terminologies already there. Then we have about 62 published co-vocabularies and 125 application profiles. And then for reference data, we have more than 1,000 different code sets. and these are published references or published resources. So that, for example, regarding data models, you can create those data models, but you don't have to publish them. You can edit them only within your own development team, for example. So that, for example, for altogether, there are more than 600 data models in our tool, but you can see only those about 200 of them, so that they have been published. So then next slide, please. Yes. So that the idea is that this is like this kind of iceberg approach, that you can see only one part of the all this whole, and then there are some parts that are hidden and they are done under the hood. And I think that the very important thing here is that no coding skills are required when you are modeling something. The idea is that the subject matter experts can work with plain language terminologies, code sets, visual data models, also templates, Excel imports, so that you don't have to be a coder, developer or a data model professional in order to use our tools. Of course, that helps, but it's not. The idea is that this is meant to be a tool where you can publish and discuss with others who may not be so technically educated, but they can see the specifications and can, from the subject matter expertise, they can describe and say what is okay and what isn't okay. So that this you can see the visual presentations and that kind of thing from the user interface, but then many things are done under the hood, so that the tool, for example, creates automatically URI or ERI identifier, and then that is machine readable, so that you can refer to that specific item from everywhere from the internet. And that means also that this is something that makes these resources machine readable, so that the actual descriptions are made using semantic standards like REF, SKOS for terminologies, OWL2 for ontologies, or let's say core vocabularies, and then shackle for application profiles. And then when there are those internal descriptions, and there is, by the way, Jena Fuseki graphical database there where the information is stored, then you can create technical specifications, so to say serializations automatically, so that you just press the button and the system may create JSON LD, turtle, or other specifications, so that they comes automatically. And it's this is instant, so that when you change the actual data model, then also those serializations will change, so that the all information is always up to date. So that content created by the domain experts can be transferred into machine readable specifications. Next slide, please. Regarding governance, it is that my organization DVV maintains the platform technically, but the actual content creation is decentralized, so that anyone can browse these public contents, but the publishing and maintenance of the resources are governed through user roles and responsibilities, so that you have, for example, editor, you have a data modeler, you have a terminology editor, and that kind of thing, so that they take care of the maintenance of the contents. And each owner organization is responsible for its own resources and their life cycle, so that there is life cycle of the resources. You start with draft, and when, for example, you have reviewed the contents, then you can decide to publish it as valid. And when it's old and you don't need that anymore, you can change the status as superseded. So that in that sense, this our way of working makes it possible to integrate this kind of organizational routines to the actual way of working and following the methodology and reuse. In that sense, our platform supports both openness and trust, so that the content is visible and reusable, but the publication is still governed, and the organizations that provide that content guarantee that the contents are okay and valid and up to date. So next slide, please. So that what is works well, I think that is the alignment of this kind of technical structure and the intended workflow. And I think that also the idea is that we try to make this reuse first approach as the simplest path, so that the reuse comes the default choice. It's easier to use the work that others have done earlier than create everything from scratch. And even though you can use all the tools separately, I think that the ideal way of working is that the business users focus on the language, the concepts, the meanings first, then the code sets, and finally the data models. And then when the data models are okay, then you can, as I already told you, you can create by pressing a button machine readable outputs and descriptions. So next slide, please. Yes, then there are two concrete examples. The first use case was our well-being services counties, and when they were established in 2021, we published the codes on our platform, and by doing this, we avoided massive integration costs because before they even occurred, because there was a possibility that all different organizations had created their own coding schemes, and then that would have caused a lot of technical fragmentation and a lot of mappings between different identifiers. So that in general, I think that this is a good example of the semantic interoperability by design. The idea is that we solve the meaning problem before it becomes an implementation problem. Then next slide, please. Then one other example is our national real-time economy project. And there was also the idea that there were many different actors that used the same business data, and they wanted to exchange that between them. And there were also not only public organizations, but also private ones. And the data usually is in different formats, and they are stored in different systems. So that if we don't have any shared data models or rules or standards, this kind of automation is limited. So that we aimed in this project to a fully digital economy, and where invoices and e-receipts and different documents move in real time. So that the platform provided shared terminologies and data models and different kind of descriptions that were needed in this kind of cross-border data transfer. So next slide, please. So that I think that what is the practical value of our approach and semantic interoperability in general is that when the systems are interoperable by design and we have a single source of truth for this kind of metadata descriptions, then we can agree better on the common meanings and, for example, make easier to implement things like European Union digital wallets or once only principle. And then next slide, please. So regarding the interoperability and how we align with the European interoperability needs, then I think that our solution aligns with these quite well because it supports reusability, openness, persistent identifiers, standard APIs, and clear ownership models. And it's also scalable and transferable because it's multilingual. It's based on linked data principles, and it's also redesigned for reuse beyond one organization or one sector. And this platform is already used in different national and cross-border contexts. But I also want to say that it's very important to stress the cultural and organizational point, because even though you had the best technical platform, it's not enough if the people, if the communities do not agree on meaning. So that it's also that semantic interoperability requires governance and sometimes compromise. And in that sense, the interoperability is not only technical issue, and it's also community agreement and making concessions for the common good. So that's about my presentation. I think that the last slide is there, yes, but you can go back to the previous one, and then I'm happy to take any questions now.
Thank you very much, Rita, for your presentation. Does the audience have any questions? Do we have any questions in the chat or any hands?
Not yet. So feel free to speak up. Any questions for guest speakers here? Obviously, for the second one first. I see something in the chat. Oh yes, that's about the presentations. These presentations will be shared in our events highlights. So you will be notified through the portal. We'll release events highlights news item, basically. That will include the slides and the link to the video also. So we will actually embed the video in the highlights. So you'll see all this information and go through it at your convenience. Anyone else wants to ask something, Rita?
I think we have a hand. I saw Peter.
Oh, sorry, I don't see a hand, to be honest. But
Can you hear me?
yes.
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 I'd like to ask whether you can share some more information about the tooling you use for the semantic modeling.
You mean technology? Yes. Most importantly, it's a Java based open solution.
Yeah, there's some, Rita, there's some connection issue there.
And
if you want, could you, close the video feed? Maybe we can hear you better.
yes.
Just, because I think it's the connection's a bit, but yeah, if you can close your camera just to improve the connection, and then you can switch it on back.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe the link with some information will be enough. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. And I don't have that. Perhaps. Well, yes. I can have a different kind of information then, but perhaps if you send me your email, then I can send you more information, because
And
I have,
here,
of
Peter,
course, those.
Yeah, and here just for the GDPR element, Peter, you can reach out to the portal support, and we can then connect you with Rita directly.
Yes.
Just to avoid sharing that in email publicly, I mean, here.
Maybe also a direct message in the WebEx chat only to.
Oh, that's also
Rita
possible. Good point.
I think that's possible.
WebEx
yes.
here allows, if you can capture that now, yes, Peter, you can send a direct message only to Rita in this session. But make sure that in the chat box, you select the direct option at the top. Otherwise, reach out to the portal support in the footer in our portal. We have the support contact form, and we can connect you also with Rita there.
Yes. But I can just check if I can find that information quickly. But anyways, I think in the meantime, we can take another question. Is that if there is any?
That's anyone? Any extra information needed from your side, or a question for Rita?
Else we can move to our questions, since we have time for Q&A. Okay, same question as before then. Labeled solutions need to be assessed for their usability and interoperability assessments. Would it make sense for public authorities to look in this context at their usability of the interoperability platform for the implementation of the assessed decision? And would that be a straightforward or a difficult assessment?
Yes, I think that would be quite easy, because our solution is cloud-based, so that, for example, I have given many test user access to our test environment, so that if someone wants to test our tools, they can make that by themselves, and then the actual source code is available at GitHub. But because that's a cloud-based solution, some parts are not in GitHub, because we have, of course, some specifications that configurations of the environment, and they are not in GitHub. But it's everything is done with public source tools, and it's European public license, so that you can get the information there also. But okay, now I found the technology place of the platform. So that a moment, I will try to share that.
Yeah, that's great, Rita. If you can share it when you're ready in the chat, it would be great.
Yes.
Okay. Again, feel free for the audience to ask anything here. And
yes, but here it's microservice, Docker, well, Amazon Web Source, Cloud, Java, TypeScript. And then there are actually, currently we are now using React more than Angular. And then open source. And regarding the user authentication, we now use Finnish add-on. You could replace that with a tool that use a SAML interface with people. So that is.
You're cutting out a bit, Rita, your audio, but I guess it's because you're sharing the slide. Obviously, yeah, for Peter, yeah,
Yes.
you can maybe take a screenshot also of this screen. But again, you can reach out and yeah, we can connect you to Rita for any in-depth information about the technical stack and all the other elements. Thank you,
Yes.
thank you, Rita, for showing that slide. Okay, so Vicky.
Yeah, let's go to another question. I believe we talked about the challenges. Would you like to add anything about the challenges to implement your solution, Rita?
Yes, I think that one of the things were that a couple of years ago, semantic web and linked data technologies were quite new, so that was something that you have to change your way of thinking when you are programming that kind of thing. So that, but I think that then our development team was very enthusiastic to use new technologies. That wasn't a problem, but another problem was that data modelers are so used to use UML, and for them semantic is different, because our idea is that we do at the same time when we model, it's both machine readable and human readable, but the UML is for humans, so that you have to think things differently in order to make that that kind of modeling feasible. And of course, it also that if organizations already have published their information on their web pages, for example, they were not so willing to use our platform because they had solved the problem from their point of view. But when you share information, it's of course that you can benefit from the work that others have done, so that it's always this same egg and hen problem, that which comes first and who will benefit. And if you publish something, then you get only the costs but not the benefits, so that you get benefits, more benefits when also others publish their information. So it's a little, the division of costs is a bit complicated in this sense, because all the public organizations get funding to fund their own work, but this kind of sharing things is not so easy if you don't get especially special funding for this.
Thank you, Rita. I think we have a question in the chat.
Yeah, it's not a question, but it's from Andreas. Yeah, thank you, Andreas, for bringing this to our attention. So, yeah, the decentralized catalog management, okay, going to be released as open source. So here, indeed, looks interesting. So we'll have a look and definitely get back to you and see, yeah, what can be done here, and any synergies or any. But yeah, and for the others here related to data catalog enablers, yeah, this is an interesting option here. So for sure, the participants can check that and then get back to Andreas. Also, Andreas from our side will have a look and see if there's anything that we can yeah, create as synergies here. So thanks for sharing that.
Great. So next question. Do you envisage collaboration with other member states or union entities, like around future development of the solution, and how?
Yes, I would be happy to have some kind of collaboration and for example, for using this platform, we have other member states using that, for example, with Nordic countries and also WeBuild, they use this. But of course, as our system is modular by design, in principle, it's easy to bring new features. For example, now we have a user interface in 3 languages because Finland has 2 official languages, Finnish and Swedish, and then we have English for the international use. But let's say that, for example, someone says that, okay, I want to have a German interface. Then, okay, it's quite feasible to do that, and it wouldn't be too complicated because it's just one language more. But of course, we don't do that with our Finnish funding, so that is always that if someone wants to use this and they want to have new features, then it is more like the problem of division of costs. But I think that in principle, we are open to have this kind of working together, and of course it's let's see, of course Commission supports multi-country projects, so that in that sense it's good, but it depends on, of course, what kind of things there are needed.
Thank you, that's clear. Okay, so next question. Is your solution suitable for local, regional, or national public administrations? Does it need central governance, or does it also bring value if deployed in just some entities?
Yes, for first question, yes, it's suitable. It has been used both in local and in also regional and national level, and as I said, also international level, or used in multi-country projects. Central governance, not necessarily. It of course needs someone who takes the technical maintenance of platform like we do. But as said, the maintenance of the contents is up to each organization. And if deployed in just some entities, for example, in Finland there are some organizations who have published only their terminology on our platform, so that for them it's cost savings because they don't have to publish those terminologies on their own web pages. So that it's also, even though you don't use all the features, I think that it also brings value, because it's always savings when you don't have to do something by yourself, but you can use this kind of centralized services.
Great. Vicky, I see we have a question from Claudia. Yeah. I don't know, Rita, if you're in the chat there, or I can read it to you.
Yes, let's see. Yes, I can browse, scroll down. How we align with European co-vocabularies? Yes, we can align them. In the beginning, the European co-vocabularies were not open, or they were, let's say, they were open, but you couldn't resolve them, so that you couldn't refer them. But now you have that MHG namespace, so that you can refer them. So that the idea is that first we have to make our local copy of the core vocabularies in order to be able to refer them. But if there are outside, we can, let's say, include those in our data models. For example, we had done so that we can include Elm ontology to our data model, so that we just refer to that, and then after that our data model tool can show that Elm classes and attributes and associations as they were in our system, even though it's not inside our system. So that if the resource is resolvable, then we can refer to that.
Thank you, Rita. In the meantime, we've again opened Slido where you can answer the same questions as before for the interoperability platform. If there are any questions, any more questions in the meantime, feel free to put them in the chat. I also would like to know if you have a similar solution in your organization. For those answering yes, if you also want to share which one it is, feel free to go ahead. Okay. Are you satisfied with your current solution? This is for the people that already use a similar one. Great. Thank you for sharing your input here. We see also this link from Rita, thank you, in the chat. And the final question from us for the audience is, how do you evaluate the potential of the presented solution? And we'll leave Slido open for you to answer this last question and move to our closing remarks here. We would like to thank you for participating in this event. Our next one is the Interoperable Europe Portal's user group meeting on the 4th of June. Feel free to register. Registrations are open. My colleagues can share the link to that in the chat. And also on the 9th and 10th of June, we have the Interoperable Europe Academy's seasonal school. With this peer learning session, we conclude a series of 4 peer learnings. The highlights of all will be uploaded on the portal. Thank you very much to our speakers of today, Matteo and Rita, and to the audience for being present here for this session. We'll see you at our next event. Thank you very much.